Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing wonderful out there this morning. I know it's Monday, so it's probably a little bit more difficult to be feeling happy this morning, but regardless, I hope you guys certainly end up having a great day. Smile, be positive to one another, to somebody. You never know if somebody's just having a bad day, and your positive energy could affect them in a fantastic way. So let's just try to have the best day possible regardless of what day of the week it is. But here to talk about some weather, try to figure it out. Today's the last day of this storm system that we have been talking about for what seems like 10 days or so. It did end up materializing as a major event, a high impact event, very dynamic. It still continues to be dynamic this morning. Saturday was the worst day for severe weather, a very unfortunate event in Clarksville, Tennessee, and Nashville. And then we even had a confirmed tornado outside of Raleigh, North Carolina yesterday. So this storm ended up, materializing kind of the way we thought it was going to when we were talking about it about 5 to 6 days ago. And then it seemed like it was going to not be as strong, but it ended up proving us all wrong and being a very significant storm system. But thankfully, this is the last day of it. It's heading on out. We will talk about what impacts it will bring today. And then we will speak about the rest of the country, and then stay tuned for the second half of the video. We will speak on some information about what we are seeing going forward, maybe over the next 7 to 10 days, kind of talk about the pattern coming up. And I'm going to tell you, it's not going to make a lot of winter weather or snow fans happy. But we're going to figure it out, and some things can change. And we will continue to try to fine-tune these details in the coming videos this week. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Guys, I want to say again, thank you all for the amazing growth with breaking down this storm system. I think I picked up over 700 subscribers over the last just 7 days. So welcome to any new people. Like I said many times, it's a personal feel on this channel. We look out for one another. We pray for one another. It's probably different than most channels that talk about weather on YouTube, but this is the most comfortable way I feel of doing it. So anyways, if you guys got anything I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it. It gives others an opportunity to do so too. And I will get to all the comments and the prayer requests from yesterday morning's video and this morning's video a little bit later this morning into this afternoon when I get called up from work. All right, that's a mouthful. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So we'll talk about what's going on out there right now. We got some ridging building over the western U.S. This will kind of affect our pattern over the next 7 days probably. And then it dips down like this with our trough in place with a cold front already have moved through. And then it comes up dramatically like that. You see the wider colors on your screen that indicates more moisture in the atmosphere. And we are actually dealing with a last thump of snow in like the Delmarva region this morning. Please tag me in the photos, whatever y'all are seeing in the mid-Atlantic this morning. I would love to see it. But kind of what we were seeing on those short range models over the last couple of days ended up materializing, and it's happening right now. But cold front has already pushed through the southeast, dealing with much cooler temperatures this morning compared to what we saw over the last couple of days. And then this punch of cooler air will continue to make its way into the northeast. Actually, just rain up here in Maine this morning for most of Maine. And then a little bit of moisture ongoing out west into the Rockies. But that's what's going on based off water vapor loop. This is a moving pattern. So this cold air over the eastern U.S. is very fleeting. It's going to move in, move out. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see a pattern with any kind of sustained cold air going forward. And we'll speak on that here in a second. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but as far as what's going on right now, there it is. If you kind of look closely, Delaware, I believe it's snowing in like Dover right now or just north of Dover. We'll actually take a look at the radar out of that region here in a second. But last little bit of precipitation is falling in the form of some heavy wet snow. So, we got snow up the spine of the Appalachian Mountains overnight. I'm seeing the photos. It looks like a winter wonderland in certain areas, but just good old rain for the southern New England area all the way up into the down east areas of Maine. I mean, it's just raining like crazy in like Caribou this morning, where these are areas of the country that you should be seeing snow, but just the way this low pressure is cutting does not favor cold air with the snow. Little bit of precipitation in the northern Rockies. We'll speak on that in this video also. But speaking of the severe weather risk today, guys, thankfully, thank goodness, no thunderstorms are forecast, no severe weather's forecast, and we are done with it as stable air is dominating most of the country. Flash flooding, there will continue to be a risk up here in the down east areas of Maine, a slight risk of flooding, at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being occurring within 25 miles in any given location. So we'll watch out for this region. Watches and warnings, you're littered with it here in the Northeast. Winter storm warnings continue for areas of the interior Northeast. You still have lingering winter weather alerts for the central and southern Appalachian Mountains, but these will expire throughout the day today. And we even have some freeze warnings down here in Texas. Had to verify what that was again. Sometimes I forget. There's so many colors that look alike on this screen. Winter weather advisories up for western Montana, northern Idaho. Some fog that you're dealing with this morning in the northern portion of the country. Excuse me, of the country. Losing my voice. Flood watches up for the warmer side of this system that you continue to see a lot of rain this morning. So the Southeast, it's quiet. The weather has moved out, and we're going to deal with quiet conditions the entire next 24 hours. And honestly, I think we're going to deal with quiet conditions over the next couple of days in the Southeast. Watching a low pressure this weekend. We'll speak on that here in a second. But we get into the middle of the night. We get into tomorrow morning. Not a drop or flake of anything. Very calm conditions as high pressure dominates the region. Nothing to speak on. The Northeast, a little different. Last day of this storm system, it pulls out. Just a wind-driven rain this morning for Boston, but it heads on out. By the time you get into about lunchtime, southern New England, mid-Atlantic, you clear out. You're dealing with some leftover energy flying over the Great Lakes as cold air filters over the Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. So you're going to be dealing with some bursts of snow in these favored lake effect snow regions. Erie, up to Watertown, Syracuse could get some lake effect snow throughout the morning and afternoon hours into this evening, even into the overnight hours. But what's interesting is kind of what's happening right now as the system pulls out. Look at this. Now, you did have some reports of snow in Delaware. Okay, they've since kind of went away. You even have a report of a power outage just kind of west of Wilmington. But look at this. You're switching to snow around Philadelphia. You got reports of snow in Philadelphia. You had reports this morning of snow around the Washington, D.C. area. Down here to Richmond, it was snowing this morning. You're switching to snow, even in southern sections of New Jersey. These are actual reports. And I think you're going to switch to a little bit of snow in New York City here in the next hour or so. So this is the last little burst of precipitation. Ending is a little bit of snow, kind of like what the model said it would. Not really. You could, there's a chance that it added up to something here in Delaware, as this was a pretty hefty push of precipitation. Maybe a little snow on the grassy surfaces, but let me know what you're seeing out there. I don't know. I can only go based off what you tell me. But last little bit of rain. Some of this is already what's fell, but another inch or so of rain is possible in southern New England. Then you go up to Maine, and it's going to be a rainy morning, but another inch or so of rain up here in the down east areas of Maine. Windy conditions will continue throughout the morning and afternoon hours. As far as snow, snow will continue to add up here basically over the next half, probably the first half of the day. The snow will really fall. Another several inches of snow is possible in western sections of Maine, but a lot of this is already falling right now. There's always a lag on the National Weather Service model run. But anyways, no rain for this section of Maine. Guys, I get it. There's a lot of people in the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic saying, geez, what is going on with the last couple winters? There's a lot of people that's declared that this winter is over. And guys, it's December 11th. I made a post yesterday for my folks here in the Southeast talking about how, some of the best winters here in the Southeast and even in the Eastern U.S. in general did not really get going until about mid-January. I think a classic year is 2015 in the Northeast, like Boston. I know you folks tuning in from the Northeast know all about this. It did not get going until like late January. And we all know how the winter of 2015 ended up in areas of southern New England. So it's just the way it happens sometimes. But anyways, this morning, south central U.S., very quiet weather. Some snow will try to drift into northern Colorado later tonight. But man, it'll be quiet throughout the next 24 hours in the south central U.S., just like it was yesterday. The north central U.S., a little bit of snow flying around in the upper portion of the UP. Could get some snow flurries, snow showers throughout Michigan today. And then we get into tonight. We could get some lake effect snow that really gets going as you're waking up tomorrow morning. Some flakes flying around. You're starting to be able to see the ground even up here in the Great Lakes region, where typically you start to add in some snowpack up here. It's been warm. It really has. So some snow will begin to enter the picture in western Nebraska, so we'll watch out for that. A little bit of light snow depending on where you are. And we'll take a closer look at the northern plains as we are getting throughout the day today. We're getting into about mid-afternoon. Some snow could fall in southern sections of Wyoming, a little bit of snow in southern Montana, and then a little bit of energy will continue in place in this area of Wyoming, and then some light snow could greet you guys in western and maybe even west central Nebraska as we're waking up for tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot with this. Could get a dusting of snow, a couple inches of snow, maybe several inches of snow in these higher elevations of the northern, kind of the northern front range of Colorado and southern Wyoming. And just not a lot from this, but a little bit. So, western U.S., it's probably one of your more quiet days compared to what we've seen. Not a whole lot going on out there. Some showers drifting through. Oregon, higher elevation snow in Idaho, same thing. Some heavier snow could be falling in the entire western half of Montana, especially those higher elevations throughout the day and afternoon. Things will kind of simmer down tonight, and then there's that snow that we've just talked about in Wyoming. Talking about the temperatures, there's that trough dig here. You can see the cold air entrenched into the eastern U.S. Even a chilly day as far south as central Florida, where highs we only get into the upper 50s, low 60s. But a chilly day for the Northeast, 20s, 30s for highs. Even for the Southeast, highs only in the 40s and 50s. The Ohio River Valley, highs in the 30s. There'll be some certain areas that don't get above freezing. This is typical kind of mid-December stuff. There's nothing really unusual about this at all. The upper Midwest, highs in the 20s. And, a chilly day across the middle of the country, but nothing too unusual for this time of the year. Warming already back up. You're already warming back up in Texas after a cold, I wouldn't say a cold, but a chilly last couple of days, getting into the 60s, maybe low 70s. And out west, just kind of an average day. Cold in the higher elevations, a little bit more comfortable in the lower elevations, and just more calm weather expected for today. So let's move on and talk about what's to come. And I know immediately you're going to look at this and say, oh man, this stinks, especially if you're a cold weather fan like me, a snow weather fan like me. But guys, I'm going to tell you, this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This takes us to the 16th to the 20th. Above average temperatures are going to dominate most of the country. The only area that hangs on to near normal conditions temperature-wise is the southern U.S. This is your classic looking El Nino look, I'll be honest with you. But we're still kind of early in winter. We're really technically not even into winter yet. If you go by the climate period of winter, the meteorological period of winter, which goes from December 1st all the way to February 28th. Okay, but technically, I think winter doesn't start for the way that most people know it until December 21st, 22nd. All right, so technically we're still in late fall, depending on how you view it. But enough of all that. I'm rambling. But so here it is, near normal conditions down here. And I think this is mainly due to just some cloudiness and some rain that'll keep temperatures down. But the rest of the country, days leading up to Christmas, calm. Speaking of calm, the dry conditions, high confidence, the dry conditions will dominate most of the country. And that is because you're going to have a huge ridge of high pressure over this portion of the country, basically the entire portion of the country. There's going to be some energy that tries to undercut this ridge, and you can see it in the form of a chance of near normal to above normal chances of precipitation along the eastern and southeastern portion of the country a little. And also we got some rainy potential coming into California. What about the 8 to 14 day outlook? This takes us from the 18th all the way up to Christmas Eve. Confidence does nothing but increase that there will be above average temperatures at this point dominating the entire country. The only area of the country that might see just near normal conditions, which is pretty warm for you guys, not very warm, but comfortable for you guys for Florida, is Florida. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this is nothing, not even anything compared to what we began to saw this time last year. Around this time last year, we really started to get a very good idea that we were going to have a very cold Christmas for a lot of the country. It's the opposite this year. We're starting to get very confident that we are going to have a well above average Christmas this year as far as temperatures. Do I think that it's going to just be a crappy winter just because of this? I don't, guys. We were kind of expecting this in December. There was a time, I would say about 2 weeks ago, there was some chatter in the weather community about a negative NAO that we could make an abrupt pattern shift after the 15th or 20th of this month. That has went away. We call something called the MJO is going to go into a phase 1 or phase 8, which is a favorable phase for winter weather. That is not the case anymore. That doesn't mean the entire winter is shot. It just means that December, I'll be honest, I don't want to get too far ahead. We're still only on the 11th of December. But I can tell you between now and Christmas, I am pretty confident we're going to have above average temperatures. So, yeah. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like to say that, but let's if we're being real, with what we just saw with this system, Saturday and Sunday, it's actually nice to have some calmer weather leading up to Christmas. We already just had tornadoes that just destroyed people's lives, and in Tennessee. Let's just be calm leading up to Christmas. I mean, I can deal with some snow. Snow is less dangerous than a severe weather outbreak, but even winter storms can be very dangerous. So, I would love a nice white Christmas. That's my childhood dream. I'm 32 years old and here in South Carolina, and I've always dreamed of having some kind of really early season unusual winter storm for here in the Southeast. I've always thought it would be so awesome to see, but it just does not look like anything like that's going to happen. So, anyways, the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook looks pretty dry, but it's starting to get a little bit more wet for the southwest, south central, and western U.S. Now, what about any storm systems that we are seeing? Between now and I would say the weekend, there is a storm system I'm watching. It's going to be a cutoff low of energy. This is energy that gets cut off from the mainstream and just kind of meanders. I want to watch this as we get later into this work week. This could deliver some snow for New Mexico, Colorado, maybe eventually the panhandle of Oklahoma, and Texas as we are getting into Thursday and Friday. I want to watch this. Then this kind of digs down. Latest GFS shows a pretty substantial low pressure developing in the Gulf of Mexico. This is typical El Nino kind of stuff. We're getting the Saturday afternoon. This is a pretty strong low pressure, once again bringing active weather to the southeast. Now, this looks like it's going to stay rather south, which means it's not going to cut across the middle of the country, bring a severe weather threat for a lot of people. That could change. But as we're getting into Saturday, into Sunday, moderate to heavy rain based off the GFS overspreads the southeast. There is no cold air into this system. This is actually a fantastic track for a winter storm in winter. If you could get some, pretty far south too, if you could get some cold air injected into this moisture. But all the cold air is trying to catch up with this, but it does not. And as it moves forward, the cold air catches up with it once again, just for the interior northeast. So this is just another wind-driven rain for the I-95 corridor, and then this moves out. What happens after that, I don't know. There's no point in getting past 7 to 10 days. The models are struggling so bad right now with just trying to figure out the next 7 days. What about the European with that same system? Here it comes, upper level low, cutoff low, whatever you want to call it at this point. This is bringing potentially some substantial snow for northern New Mexico, maybe Colorado. Switches to potentially some snow for areas of, like I said, the panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma, as we're getting into Thursday and Friday. And then it digs down to the Gulf of Mexico. And there's that low, bringing some rain. But man, this is so much slower. All this energy is way over here Saturday afternoon compared to a low pressure moving into the panhandle of Florida and Georgia this Saturday afternoon on the GFS. So Euro is much slower. It almost wants to make this into some sort of tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. Kind of rams this low pressure into Florida like mid to early next week. and doesn't even affect the southeast. So the euro is very suppressed and just cut off and just kind of a southern stream dominated area. And if you look at energy and what this looks like, this is the GFS, right? Here it is. There's that cut off piece of energy over Texas, delivering some snow for the southern high plains. There's a piece of energy in the northern portion of the stream here. They do not connect. This turns into a dominant southern stream piece of energy. Here's our northern stream energy trying to inject some cold air into this, but it does not. It finally does here, but the system is already further north and heading out. So there's no cold air injected into the system. This system it's flirted with the idea of delivering some mountain snow over the last, I would say, 7 days. But it keeps going back and forth, and I think confidence is increasing. That is not. Remember, guys, I'm going to the mountains this weekend, so I've been pulling for this low pressure kind of in secret for the last 5 days to do something. And it just doesn't look like there's going to be any cold air, which is sad. It's mid-December. You can't even get some cold air in the mountains. Just stinks. The reason we're not getting a cold air feed here is because what you're seeing here in the red is high pressure, and the blue is low pressure. The blue could be a cutoff low. It could be an upper level low. It could be a trough of low pressure. And then the high pressure is much more easy to understand. It's just high pressure, typically associated with above average temperatures, more stable conditions. So if you notice, this little piece of energy that I was just talking about is fully cut off from any kind of other jet. It's fully cut off. All right, ridge up here is suppressing this to the south, and it's just, this ridge just comes on top and just doubles down on this system. You got a little energy trying to show up here. You see where this line's closing up? It's trying to get undercut up under this ridge, but it just kind of is lost in between ridging and kind of just shoots across the northeast. So you got 3 pieces of energy here on the GFS. This one, this little one, and then the bigger one right here that could inject some cold air into this system, but it's lagging too far behind. They eventually do weaken the ridge, connect here, but it's just too late, and then they disconnect. And then a ridge dominates the pattern for the next 6 days leading up to Christmas. We got some things to figure out, but I'm telling you, if you're a winter weather fan, snow lover, it's just, I don't think it's going to be exciting times leading up to Christmas. I remember last year, it was exciting just because we had cold air to talk about for Christmas. But then that Arctic outbreak really affected a lot of people. It probably bursted a lot of people's pipes. It made travel difficult. There was a blizzard over portions of the country, the lake effect snow that just slammed Buffalo with a blizzard. So maybe this is a nice change of pace. And I'm telling you guys, going off just pure observation, it seems like when we have a quieter December over the last few years, we have a more active January. It just seems that way. You know, you go back to like December of 2017 when we had the crazy snowstorm north of Atlanta. You go back to, I don't think that's a very great example because we ended up having a pretty good January too. But, you know, for example, I would say a great example of it is the December 2018 snowstorm that happened 5 years ago for areas of the Southeast. That ended up being the only winter weather event really the entire winter. And, you know, you go back to last year. We had the crazy Arctic blast, but nothing else ended up happening the rest of winter. You go back to 2021 December, very quiet month regarding winter weather. But then all of a sudden we got into January, in January 2022 is when things went crazy for about 3 or 4 weeks in the southeast and eastern U.S. So, you know, things are just going to vary, guys. So don't give up on winter. If you're a winter weather fan, some people are probably saying, Mitch, I mean, I don't really care if it snows or not. I don't like snow. But, you know, if you're tuning into my channel, I'm always going to be biased towards snow. But anyways, that's all I got, guys. Have a fantastic day. I don't know if I'll get a video out can't speak. I don't know if I'll get a video out this evening just because it's quiet. I'm definitely not going to pump out as many evening videos this week, but we'll see what happens. I'll check a look at models this afternoon, see if we need to make a video. God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.